Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Eachine F16. So this is a 550 millimeter wingspan EDF jet. It has a 50 millimeter EDF in here. And it comes, like disassembled of course. You have to attach the two wings and then the two elevator pieces in the back. Pretty simple. There's notches in the foam and everything, so it's fairly simple to put together, not really worth putting a build video and all that together. Also, there's some notches on the elevator portion in the back to make sure that they line up correctly. And I just use some glue. I use some welder's glue, like works fine for foam, and it's a little bit flexible, so it'll give it a crash. Didn't take too long, about 10 minutes I think total build time, and then of course I have to do the setup with the control rods on the bottom. Make sure that they're neutral on the radio and everything, so that there's no trim needed. So it should fly pretty normal. So the CG here is labeled on the manual right here, and I did balance it with a 1300 3S LiPo, and here's it looks like, so the hatch is just magnetic here in the back, and then there's the LiPo right there. That's where it balances out. XT60 for the battery connection. You can see my receiver is a FrSky X4R. It's a D16 receiver. I'm using a FrSky receiver here. So there's a bunch of wires here. The servo wires for the elevator and ailerons come through here, as well as the XT60 connector and the servo wire for the ESC. And they're all very loose, so what I did was I used a small zip tie here to secure that so that it doesn't flop around and slide back and forth. Also, when you slide the carbon spar through the wing area, so there's a carbon spar that comes with the kit that holds the wing, gives it more structure and stability. You want to make sure that that carbon spar goes underneath the wires, so that the wires will rest on top. If you run the carbon spar over the top of the wires, it'll put pressure on them and it'll drag them down, and they may get sucked into the EDF, which is about right here. So be aware of that. I think as long as you secure the wires so they don't fall backwards with a zip tie here, and make sure the carbon spar is holding them up and away from basically the airflow, I think it should be fine. Any sort of crash, but I think if you crash, like this part here in the front, this is glued on, that'll probably break off. I'm gonna probably have to tape it or something, give it a little more security. And of course these little missiles here will probably break off in a crash too. So it is the paint is like water-based paint, so if you want to prevent it from flaking off, I would recommend like putting a coat of Minwax or something like that on all the paint surfaces, and that should at least keep the finish of the plane looking good. It is a belly lander. There's no landing gears, so there's some plastic pieces on the bottom that will prevent it from getting scratched up. You can see those might break off in a crash right there, and then that's the piece right here for the belly. But of course, you want to probably Minwax the bottom, because the paint, if you're landing on some kind of concrete or something, is going to get all scratched up. So probably should be trying to land in grass or something like that. Other than that, not a whole lot to say about this. I'm going to be flying on a 3S. I'm using a Jumper T-Lite radio. Hopefully it'll go well. Just make sure your CD is balanced, and I have my rates set to half, like 50%, based on the throws of the elevator and ailerons, and I'm using about 40% expos. So let's go out to the field and see how it flies. Well, the nose broke off like I expected. I think this needs a lot more power. And looks like a lot of dirt, grass got in there. All right, gonna have to full throttle this. All right, there it goes. Oh, this thing's fast. So give it a lot of throttle when you launch it, otherwise it won't take off. And you need a pretty big space to fly this in. It's like I'll just be doing circles here. This is not that big. So I haven't done any trimming other than the manual trimming when I install the control rods. See a little bit of a wing waggle. That's normal. There's no rudder on this one. About half throttle, just doing circles. Trying to turn around here. It's a little twitchy. I need to put more expo in. I have about half rates. But I need more expo. There's no wind right now, or very little wind. And you got to keep up your airspeed, otherwise it looks like it'll stall. Yeah, and the turns, yeah, you got to keep up your airspeed, otherwise it'll lose altitude and it might stall on you. So you got to. This is not for people that like to fly slow. Actually, come to think of it, I prefer slow flying versus this kind of flying. It's a little bit more exciting. I haven't flown anything this fast in a while. Mostly I fly smaller and slower planes, so a little out of practice. Yeah, that nose piece is mostly decorative, I think. And as I expected, basically in any kind of landing, it's gonna fall off or break off. Not a big deal, you can just glue back on. Tighter turn. Nope. That's why I was trying to bring it a little closer. And yep, there goes the missile. That's another part I thought would. These are not that durable. So in a hard landing, the little missiles are gonna break off. But again, you know, not a big deal. You can just glue them back on. You know, it's not a big deal. Trying to bring it in closer for a closer flyby, and it loses altitude pretty quickly in those turns. Oh my goodness, I think there's some grass that gets in through this bottom duct here when you land. Not sure if I like that so much. But yeah, I'm looking at the air passageway and it looks like something's stuck in there. Alright. Let's check the battery, make sure it didn't shift. Yeah, it's fine. Alright. Give it one more. Feels like it's tail heavy now for some reason. Well, yeah. Gonna land it at, not sure what's wrong now. Might be battery shifted, but it didn't look like it shifted. Gotta always, guess I should have actually checked the CG. I doubt losing the nose cone and the missile part made any difference in the CG, but you never know. Let's see here. CG should be right here. It's actually nose heavy. That's weird. Huh? Okay. So let's move the battery back a little bit.
Telemetry lost.
Oh, I think I know what the problem is. The battery is nice and hot. So these are some pretty old 1300 3S batteries that I've got, several years old, but these are the only ones I've got that are in this size range. And I think maybe that was the limit of my flight time. I'll put up on the screen here. Yeah, the battery's super hot. I think that's why I don't have power. But I'll put up on the screen here what the battery voltage was at the end here. I have a feeling that you're probably going to want to go with a bigger battery, like a 15 or 1800. I think 1800 is what they're suggesting, but I think, yeah, then the 1800 you'll have more, you have plenty of room for a longer battery, but I don't have anything that size. But I would say an 1800 will fit in here pretty good. You'll probably, I just have to make sure the CG is right. You know, it'll give you more flight time than what I got here. I think this maybe my battery is a little bit too old, and this maybe needs a little bit more power. I don't know if this will run a 4S or not, but I'll look into that. Let me know in the comments below if any of you guys think this will run on 4S. Maybe 4S would be more efficient, because it seems like it needs a fair amount of power to keep up the airspeed to keep this in the air. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Talk to you guys later.